The weekend is here and rest is near. It's a Friday. Plus Sports and Plus TV Africa. My name is Wally Scott, and too many things, too many to discuss today. Let's start with the fact that Gernot Rohr has not been sacked yet. Okay, Motola was asking me a few minutes ago and saying, he hasn't been sacked. Nobody actually knows what's happening, but really, he has not been sacked. Now, the German tactician is on the brink in his role as the coach of the three-time African champions, but there is no official word from the Nigerian Football Federation, NFF. Now, Gernot Rohr's future as the Super Eagles head coach is still uncertain, despite reports claiming he has been sacked. Now, Rohr is close to getting the boot following a series of unimpressive performances from the Super Eagles. Now, the 68-year-old recently led the three-time African champions to the playoff round of the 2022 World Cup qualifiers. But despite that, the consensus is that the Super Eagles have looked uninspiring in the last 2 years, and the German needs to go. However, with just a month before the African Cup of Nations starts, there is still no official confirmation from the NFF. Although they released an official statement last week, it only debunked rumors of his sack, but they did confirm they are reviewing his position. But while Rohr's on the brink, the NFF and the Sports Ministry are at loggerheads over a potential replacement for the former Burkina Faso coach. The Sports Ministry wants a local coach to take over, but the NFF is looking for another foreign manager. And with just over a month before the start of AFCON, it's not an ideal situation for the Super Eagles. Sayo Oguntoye, welcome on the show.
Yeah, good morning to you, Wally. It's good to be here once again.
Welcome on the show. Now, Gernot Rohr, we have gotten an official statement now that he has not been sacked. But we also hear that the NFF are looking for a local coach, a Nigerian coach, to take the boys to the AFCON in January. Some parts of they are split right now. Ahmad Jupinik and his own crew say they want a foreign coach. And the other guys who are more realistic, if you ask me, are saying, let's get a local coach for now. He can take them to the Super Eagles. What do you think? What's your take?
Well, my take is just that I am indifferent because I don't want to really put too much mind in Nigeria. Having said that, I think we are not the serious-minded type of people. Looking at where we are presently, we are not yet at the World Cup. We are just few months to the Nations Cup, and we don't even know if Gernot Rohr is going to still be a coach of the Super Eagles. If he is not going to be, who is going to replace him? These are questions that are going to be answered anytime soon, possibly. So it shows we're not serious here. Any country who wants to win the Nations Cup should not be where we are right now, trying to guess which coach we are going for, a foreign coach or a local coach. I mean, it's so sad. It's so sad.
Now, Sayo, let me put you on the hot seat now. Don't be indifferent. Try and be on one side of the fence now. If it was up to you, would you prefer a local coach who knows the players? Because really, our players are not even local-based players. They play abroad. How can you get a local coach to come and groom them? One. Or would you prefer a foreign coach if you had a say in it?
Well, if you ask me, I would prefer a foreign coach because we've tried almost all our quality local coaches and they've not done better than what Gernot Rohr has done so far. We have the likes of late coach Stephen Keshi, who did very well. In fact, he did better than what Rohr did. But also, Keshi failed to qualify for the next Nations Cup. We had Christian Chukwu at some point in time. So I don't think we have any local coach presently now that can actually take the Super Eagles into the next level. So I would prefer a foreign coach.
In my many years of sports reportage, I know for one that there was a point that the coach of Côte d'Ivoire then, he had the best players in Africa, Kolo Touré, Yaya Touré, Didier Drogba, everybody, Zokora, everybody was in that team. But he said after the Super Eagles beat him in the Nations Cup, 2-1 the scoreline, he says he had a list of players that they felt they were potential threats to the Ivorian team. Sunday Mba was not one of them, and it was the one that's got the second goal for. So I think Keshi believing in the home-based players paid off in that game. Maybe a local coach will work for us. Maybe he will look inwards and bring in home-based players.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. But the local players themselves have not covered themselves with so much glory. The last time they played against Mexico in a friendly match, they embarrassed Nigeria. You know, Mexico has never beaten Nigeria, but looking at that match, it ended 4-0. I mean, the goalkeeper even made his call unexpectedly. John Noble. So they've not been able to, okay, what about the chance competitions themselves? Are they being able to win any? I think they've not covered themselves with too much glory. That is not to mean that we cannot pick one or two out of these players because they are not totally all bad. So we have to see if we can get one or two, three players that can actually, wrestle feathers with these foreign players.
Now, the most important question now that everybody should be asking, and they are not asking the question, is, should Gernot Rohr go? We're just talking about who should we bring in, who should we bring out, but the question is, this man has started something. He has qualified for the Nations Cup. All things being equal, he has qualified into the next round to get into the World Cup. Why don't we let him finish his job? Should he go now? That should be the question.
Wow, this is a tough question.
Yes, tough, I know.
Because if you look at what Nigeria has at their disposal, the array of talent we have, has Gernot Rohr done enough? Should he stay? Should he go? I think, as a matter of fact, he has tried his best. I'll give him a 60% out of 100. I'm not a fan of Gernot Rohr, but I think he's done so well than we can ever expect, because this is actually the biggest job he has taken so far in his career, except for the likes of coaching Bordeaux and co. In Africa, they cannot read Burkina Faso to Nigeria, so this is probably the biggest. So, has he justified his stay? Maybe for a few question marks, but I think Gernot Rohr should stay, because it's going to disrupt the team. It now means a new philosophy, a new mentality, a new coach, and a new style. So it might just disrupt a whole lot of things. So I think he should stay.
Stay, okay.
He deserves, to an extent, to stay.
Okay. So stay with us, Sayo. Now, according to reports in the English media, Manchester United is set to appoint Ralf Rangnick as interim manager on a 6-month contract. The German is currently head of sports and development at Russian outfit Lokomotiv Moscow. 63-year-old Rangnick most recently coached RB Leipzig, guiding them to a third-place finish in the Bundesliga in 2018-2019. He replaces Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at Old Trafford, with the club currently 8th in the Premier League standings. As well as managerial spells at Schalke 04 and Offenheim, Rangnick was also sporting director for RB Leipzig and RB Salzburg from 2012. Now, Leicester have ended a 5-match run without a victory by beating Legia Warsaw 3-1 at home in the Europa League. The win moved them to the top of the ultra-tight Group C, where all 4 sides can still qualify going into the final round of matches. Leicester traveled to Napoli. Now, manager Brendan Rodgers was both pleased with the performance and happy he's unlikely to be asked about the Manchester United job any further, with widespread reports German Ralf Rangnick has taken over. Now, striker Patson Daka scored his 5th Europa League goal of the season, which also makes him Leicester's leading scorer in what is a fairly modest history in European competitions. Let's tune into the NBA now. Lebron James returned from his 1-game suspension to remind the rest of the NBA of his standing in the sport. The 4-time league MVP scored 39 points as he led the Los Angeles Lakers to a 124-116 overtime win at the Indiana Pacers. The contest at the Gainbridge Fieldhouse wasn't without incident though, as midway through the overtime period, James had 2 fans ejected from the stands for allegedly abusive behavior. James' performance still only helped the Lakers get back to a 500 record for the season. They currently sit in 7th place in the Western Conference. Join us on Plus Sports Special tomorrow, 11 to 12 on Plus TV Africa. My name is Wale Scott. Like I always advise you at the end of every show, if not for anything, at least for your heart, do some sports.